I say you. And I will have a live stream now. If you show up, I'll show you how. Hi. I'm here to cheer, and I don't want any more bears. But beyond that, I should probably indicate that today's trending topics are only trending in my mind. They may probably. It's just stop asking me these questions. I don't want to give you feedback. I don't know how satisfied I am, you know? So, like, how am I supposed to know that? Hi there. Um, yeah. So, YouTube's always asking me these questions, like, how satisfied are you with creating posts on YouTube? I don't know. How are you supposed to know that even? What kind of a question is that? How satisfied I am? They should ask me, do you have any specific complaints? Or do you have any specific suggestions? Why are they asking me how satisfied I am with it? What fucking difference does that make, you know? It's like, how satisfied can I be with something that I probably just don't naturally use that much or unsatisfied with it or whatever, you know? It's asking me about my FI. Come on. Well, I know this is how I feel. I feel like it was a really good idea to spell topics with a Z. That makes this seem like a, younger and more hip and happening place around here. Because young people like to use Z's instead of S's. For example, in the name D's ball, D's nuts, a lot of times both the Z at the end of D's and the S at the end of nuts are Z's. So it's D's nuts, nuts. Anyway, so I decided to add a Z to the end of my word topic there in the title and figured it would bring in millions of live stream participants. But so far there's only 6. But I'm anticipating the other 1,999,994 are on their way. So, what are the trending topics that I wanted to talk about? Well, I do have a soccer question I want to ask and see if anybody knows the answer to, but we don't need to ask that one right now. We can put that off till later. I wanted to discuss minimalist bathroom. I really enjoy this short that's from like a year ago or something. I was watching it. Because I'm working my way back through comments that never got responded to because they wouldn't make it go away when I disliked it. I'm just going through and just biting the bullet, and for most all of them, I'm hearting them. For a few of them, I'm removing them, but not very many. It has to really be like, fuck you, for me to remove it, you know? That's how I have to feel about it emotionally. With my emotions, because I make all of my decisions with my emotions. That's the smartest way to be. People who try to think through things, oh my god, how frustrating are those people? I watched a couple great episodes of anime this morning. That's on the topic list. Anything you guys want to bring up as a potential topic, go ahead and bring it up. But we're keeping a mental list of topics, so don't you worry your pretty little heads. What's your go-to easy meal? England or Spain is an excellent question, Mr. Robbie. I'm going to come back to that one, okay? What's my go-to easy meal? Well, we only have easy meals. So, Rachel and I mean, we don't only have easy meals, but we almost only have easy meals. Rachel and I, when we go to the grocery store, we primarily purchase things that can be either instantly eaten, like chips, granola bars, little cheeses that come in single serve wrappings, um, shit like that, pickles, chips. Yeah, I think I said chips already. Anyway, we get drinks, and then we get frozen dinners of several different kinds. And we're so lazy, in fact, that we'll only buy frozen dinners that have one step. We've identified a number of different ones that have only one step because if I'm gonna microwave a dinner, I do not want to pull it out halfway, pull back the thing, stir it around, replace the thing, and put it back in for another fucking 2 minutes. Fuck you, microwave dinner places, companies. It's like, why do you think I'm buying your product? Is it so I can be inconvenienced by an extra unnecessary step? No, that's not why I'm buying your product. Is it because microwave dinners are the most delicious thing you can possibly eat? No, that's not why I'm buying your product. Is it because it's the easiest way you can eat an actual meal? It's not just like a piece of bread or whatever? Yes, that is why I'm buying your product. So get your fucking act together, microwave dinner companies. And there should no microwave dinner should ever say on it, put it in for 3 minutes. Remove the lid, remove the film, stir, meow. If it says that, they should have a big warning label on it. Warning, more than one step. Anyway, now regarding the question of who do I pick, England versus Spain? I'm an excellent person to ask this question. I've seen every game of both teams, I believe. They're two of the three teams that I was enthusiastic about as possible winners of the whole thing. Although my number one team was Japan, so when they lost, I lost my pick. But I had England as my second pick after watching like their group stage, basically. I had Spain as an early favorite of mine until they got blown up by Japan, and then I was fooled by that loss. But there was somebody on ESPN who wrote right after that game that he was still picking Spain to win the whole thing. That Japan had to play a perfect game in that particular game, and they did. But that Spain looks like the best team. Well, I'm gonna have to go with my original second pick, which is England. I think England's going to beat Spain. And the reason is because, first of all, England's going to get that lady back. Lauren Smith or something like that. Second, England has consistently looked to be, Australia also looked this way too, but England has consistently looked to be the best at sharp, long counter strikes. And they're good on building an offense as well. They try to possess the ball more than their opponent does. They struggled against Australia in the second half, at the outset of the second half, but they ended up winning that game 3-1. They took the lead. Sam Kerr tied it up on an amazing strike from outside the penalty box. Just outside the penalty box, she was by herself. There were two English defenders on her, and she just kind of snickled around a little bit, and then pow, and hit it all the way across the face of the goal and across the goalie's outreached hand into the corner. In fact, the goalie touched it a little bit, but it wasn't able to stop it at all. What if it says add water to it and then stop it at 3 minutes and then take the cover off and let it go for 5 more minutes? That's too many steps. Adding water already counts as a step. We do have cup of noodles. Rachel does make those sometimes. I'm a little skeptical of their 2 steps though. It's like, when I make even a little skeptical of the Mexican casseroles. The fact that I have to cut a slit in the plastic before I put it in. Even that is, I'm skeptical of that. It's like, should I have to really do that? I shouldn't. But if you don't, I've discovered that it kind of like blows out the bottom of the thing. So I just do it. I just do it. I just bite the bullet and I make a slit. Are microwave dinner companies aware that there's at least some segment of the population, because I'm sure it's not just me, that makes their decision on whether or not it has more than one step? Chick. Chicks are cool. I've always liked chicks. It's like when I was young, really, my most active good friend was the girl across the street, in some sense. I really like playing with Kelly a lot. We used to play a lot of naked games, though. we, we were always ending up naked together for some reason. I had a weird childhood, a weird, unsupervised childhood. Back in the 70s, you're born in 71, your parents did not supervise you. You were expected to go play. And if you had to be around the house, then there's a playhouse in the back maybe where you can go play. Otherwise, go out into the streets. Shoo, children, get away from us. Go play with each other. Um, so we did, I'm not sure why, because it's like I have other memories of childhood about the other girl across the street too. Um, that I had to be very young, but I had to be like 5 years old or something. But anyway, it's like, I guess that's what happens if you don't supervise little children. You know? Do you like my Casabianca shirt? Or did you say, nice skirt, and you were talking to somebody other than me? I can't really see because of my old eyes. Hi.
Hi, handsome.
Hi, young eyes.
Hi.
Old eyes Eric is here with his old eyes.
I'm loving old eyes, Eric.
So, in fact, it did say shirt. Eliana Diaz, long time no see. How you doing? I haven't thought about you in a while. Yeah, I also concluded, Mr. Bobby, that he must be from not America. He must be a foreigner. Foreigners? We got foreigners around here? I like your dress.
Thank you.
Snappy.
Thank you.
Rachel's got great taste in fashion.
Thanks. I think you have great taste and passion too. You know what looks good.
Well, if we ever go to the Kentucky Derby, I don't care what the rules are. I'm gonna wear a full blast Kentucky Derby hat.
Ooh.
I don't care if it's supposed to be just for chicks. I get to get in on that for sure.
I think you should. Hey, Mr. Bobby. I think you definitely should get in on that. You can hold. I think You can pull off one of those hats better than some other people.
Well, listen, Rachel, I'm just mentally and emotionally preparing you that I'm going to out fabulous you in the hat department if we ever go to the Kentucky Derby.
You know what? Maybe I won't even try. Maybe I'll just wear a headband.
I mean, that's like me using a leaf blower. The day of our wedding, I just said, "Yes, Cameron, let's just use your leaf blower." I just was like, I have no more resistance to leaf blowers at this moment. No matter how obvious and striking the hypocrisy of me encouraging him to use a leaf blower. He's like, I won't try to get you to use it, but I would definitely use it myself, except he's better at using it. So that just goes to show you when the chips are down, you will use a leaf blower, even if you hate them. Cameron's wasn't that loud, though. He has an electric battery powered one. It's a Makita. It's like a small handheld Makita, and it did a good job. But I just hope I don't at some point buy a leaf blower.
It's a different kind of.
You know, I can sweep, okay? There's no reason for me to get a leaf blower. But what I want to get instead, somehow, like, this is better in my mind. I want to get a shop vac. It's not okay to blow things, but it is okay to suck them.
So you want to use the shop vac outside?
Yeah, that's why I mostly want to get it is for vacuuming either like wet dry stuff like the carpet here or stuff that's like too much for it's either too far away from, well, although we could probably go in from there, get there, but I just don't want to overwhelm. I don't want to stress the whole house vacuum too much with a bunch of sunflower seeds. I want to vacuum this up. But mostly I want the shop vac for meowing, which is to say, for these couple of spots on the carpet I see, like there's a dark spot over there, I want to get it with Resolve carpet cleaner and suck it up with a wet dry vac. You blow the dust out of your PC with a leaf blower. Is it because you leave it when you turn it off in a closet filled with dust? Is that why it gets so dusty? You just submerge it in a box full of dust. And then when you take it out, you gotta leaf blower it off to get the dust off. Na, gentle nana, it's a PC, not a human. Na, gentle nana, it's a PC, not a human. Na, gentle nana, it's a PC, not a human.
Oh yeah, we eat microwave food all the time.
Yes, we do. Somebody earlier had asked, what's my go-to easy meal? I said, we don't have any hard meals. We don't believe in hard meals. Yeah, Australia did lose at home, but they do get to play in the third place game on Saturday. I don't know how much people care about the third place game, but I'd rather go out winning the third place game than the uh, losing the championship game. Personally, if you're gonna end your tournament on a win and finish third place, or end your tournament on a loss and finish second place, I'd rather finish the tournament on a win and finish third place. So I don't know. Obviously, Australia. I was rooting for Australia. Couldn't help it. Even though England would maybe I might root for England on a neutral site, but with a home crowd there, I just couldn't help but rooting for
It's
Australia.
hard, yeah.
Um, but I probably root for Australia even on a neutral site because it's like I said before the game, that was Australia's biggest sporting event in history, like for their country,
Wow.
was that semifinal Women's World Cup game. That's the best, like, most impressive thing that Australia's country has done in terms of international sports or whatever. So, um, obviously, because of that, I probably root for Australia no matter what because well, but see, England wants it so bad too. England loves soccer so much,
Mhm.
and they claim to have invented soccer. I didn't.
Really?
Is that true? Did the British people invent soccer? Let me see. It seems like soccer must be much older than. Maybe not. Let's
Maybe
see.
not.
Who invented soccer? England is credited with inventing soccer in 1863.
Wow. All right. So it's like their sport that other teams have just got really, other countries have gotten really good at.
Although the earliest example of a soccer-like game was in China around
Mm.
255 BC. It was called Tsu Chu, which means kicking the ball. Ebenezer Cobb Morley is known as the father of soccer. So he's the um, who invented basketball?
I don't know.
Ebenezer Cobb James Naismith. He's the James Naismith of soccer. Ebenezer Cobb Morley. That's a heck of a name. Ebenezer Cobb. You have our son. What should we name him, honey? Ebenezer Cobb. That's what I think. That's what Ebenezer Cobb's dad sounded like. Actually, they're British, so it's like, what do you think? Where's your diamond? And then the dad's like, where's your diamond, Ebenezer Cobb? And that's how they named their son.
Do you think that maybe like his mom's maiden name was Cobb?
No.
Really?
I personally, this is just speculation. I believe the mom and dad were both big fans of corn on the cob. I don't think they'd name their son with his wife's maiden name. Like, would we name our child if we had one like Dervin Lapalosa Strauss?
I have a cousin who's Amanda McCurgan Blue.
Well, it's better than hyphenating.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's better than hyphenating. So, and McCurgan's a pretty cool middle name.
I like it.
I think that works great as a middle name.
Yeah, McCurgan Blue, especially with blue.
But I don't think Lapalosa would work well as a middle name for a boy. It sounds like a girl name.
Okay, so
know?
like
if we were to have a girl, we could conceivably name a girl Connie Lapalosa Strauss. That'd be fun. And then Lapalosa would be a cool, weird middle name to have. But if it was a boy, no. He would not want to be named Lapalosa as his middle name.
no.
His middle name meaning hairy woman. Probably our daughter wouldn't want her middle name to be hairy woman either.
Yeah.
Yeah. The South Africans, prior to the arrival of the colonialists, um, believed a lot that in this terrible apocalypse that was going to happen, where these white devils were going to come invade their country and steal a bunch of shiny rocks for some reason. Their medicine men were predicting it for centuries. Finally, it came true. And then all the South Africans looked at each other and said, see? I remember when apartheid was still going on.
Jeez.
And in fact, I remember having quite an extended conversation with this girl on a plane who was about my age and cute and interested in talking to me about the subject. So I wasn't interested in giving her a whole lot of pushback. But she was from South Africa. I guess it was on the plane to it was on a plane back from Russia to, I think, or maybe to Finland from home. I don't remember. Maybe it was either on the way to Finland or on the way back from Finland. You stop in Finland when to get in and out of Russia. I did anyway. That's what my plane ticket was. But and she was trying to. I asked her like, so what's up with the whole apartheid thing? You know. And she's like, I can't do a South African accent, but she explained to me that the white people needed to do that because otherwise the different Africans were from different tribes and they'd go to war with each other if the white people didn't help them with apartheid. Good stuff, right?
That is good stuff.
I was like, oh, cool. So, I don't care about your I don't care about your country's insane racial oppression. You're cute.
They 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 have, oh my god, I knew a girl from South Africa. She moved to the States to be with her husband, and there was a name. Oh my god. Bulton was the first time that I ever heard of Bulton instead of jerky, because South Africans call it Bulton. And what else? She had a name. Oh my gosh, she was so racist. Um, she had a name for South African, like, who were black, and I just was like, can we please not say that word?
Isn't it like Keffers or something?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
She
pretty
got,
good memory there, huh?
yeah, really good memory.
Keffers. Anyway, it was Finland, Rubenar, not Vinland. Okay.
It's Africa.
Finland. Because I was on Finnish Airways, I guess, and they went through Finland's airport to into Moscow. It wasn't a direct flight from Los Angeles to Moscow. I don't know if I may have been able to get one, but I didn't have one. So I didn't ever leave the airport in Finland, but technically I've been to Finland.
Yeah, technically.
Which, probably not a lot of people can say that.
No. I knew a girl too who I worked with at the Garden City Hotel, and she had family in Finland, and I was always asking her about like the sunlight, because she said that they had that during the day they had blackout windows, or during the night, whatever. During the night, yeah.
He was a Michael Jackson impersonator, ultimately. Mr. Bobby's friend. That's how he made his living in South Africa. As he kept explaining to his fellow countrymen, you've got to be starting something. You've got to be starting something.
But yeah, Finland. She was nice. Her name was Megan, and she was like the first Finnish person of Finnish like ancestry. I think she was second generation.
You can tell them by the dorsal fin.
Oh really?
Yeah, Finnish people have a dorsal fin right at the middle of their back. It's kind of vestigial. They're not sea creatures anymore. They've evolved from sea creatures though, so they still have a vestigial dorsal fin. Which apparently also does give them a slight advantage in Olympic swimming events, but because it's so cold in Finland, they never have a good swimming team. I've been to St. Petersburg, I've been to Moscow. Those are two places in Russia I went to. Well, and you know, the train ride between Moscow and St. Petersburg, formerly known as Leningrad, is having racial preferences racist?
Hmm.
What do you mean by that? Like preferring to date somebody of a certain race? I answered this question the other day, and regarding that question, it is as follows: If you're if you're looking, like, let's say you're on a dating app, you're single, and you're going through chicks and evaluating each of them on their merits and saying no, 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 and it just so happens that at the end of that process, an assessment of the data would reveal that you do prefer certain skin tones or whatever. And there's nothing racist about that. But if you go in saying to yourself every time you see like a Chinese girl, like, nope, no Asians for me, well, that's probably a little racist. But, it's like, who can critique your personal preference in dating if you have one? I mean, there's nothing that could possibly be more legitimately subjective than that. So, I don't know. Uh, when I first started dating Rachel, it took me a few months to realize it because I thought she was black because Rachel's kind of a black name, you know? And after a few months, um, she showed me some pictures of her relatives, and I was kind of like, why are hurting my eyes? And then she pointed out it's because they're so white. I said, wait a second, are you white? With a name like Rachel? Apparently she is. Um,
Yeah.
I just had to get rid of all my black power shit that I was going to wear in support of my wife. I threw away all my Africa shirts. So you are against the idea of being unconsciously racist that is being popularized now? Oh, well, I mean, sure, I'm opposed to the notion that somebody's unconscious or inherent unthought out preference that happens to fall either consistent with their own race or inconsistent or whatever, that that comprises racism is insane because racism has to express either in words or actions, or else it's not, you can't articulate it as being anything, you know? Just interpreting somebody else's, you know, like I am currently married to somebody that most people would call white, and one might conclude from that that I prefer to date white women, but that's not that's not historically been the case. Like, my daughter's quarter Mexican because her mom's half Mexican. My second wife was full Mexican. I had a Korean girlfriend. Um, only Rachel and really my only the last two girlfriends I've had, Rachel and Kimberly, have been white. Yeah, Delilah's mom was half Mexican. Delilah's maternal grandfather is this very white
Yeah.
was this very white guy from West Virginia. Kind of, I mean, anybody would call him Spectrum, but I would actually call him autistic a little bit. He's actually has autism, I think, a little bit. Yes, we are married, Club Grizzly. Just not to each other. She's married to a guy named Tom, and I'm married to my work. Oh wait, no, that's not right. Yes, we're married to each other. We got married on July 8th here at our house, and yeah, I know, Ruben. I know it is very racist to No. Candace was full Mexican. One of the half West Virginia, half Michoacan. Like Tom, like I said, is almost certainly sort of autistic. Uh, he had a knack, a natural like savant kind of knack for learning languages. He fought in Vietnam and had crazy tours of duty and shit. Like he's very Forrest Gump. This guy, he was. Now he's dead, but um, uh, he uh, he had a knack for languages, and he after the war he went to Mexico. He didn't speak any Spanish, but he said about learning it right away. Met this lady in this little village in Mexico and married her and brought her back to the United States. Um, at first when they started engaging with each other, uh, he couldn't hardly speak any Spanish at all, but he picked it up so fast. And then when I used to go to their family's things, it was like all Mexicans, all uh, Soledad's Soledad's friends and neighbors and stuff, and then Tom, this lily white West Virginia guy, is really like hayseed kind of just it's very stereotypical like hayseed like Gomer Pyle guy. And everybody would tell me, "Oh, Tom speaks beautiful Spanish." So he was a weird guy and an interesting situation because of his like military history. Was nuts. It was like he was full blast Marines, like in the thick of it with the Viet Cong, spraying bullets and crazy shit all the time. He was full blast in the mix of it.
Wow.
Yeah, not like my dad, who was on a boat near Korea at some point near the very end of it. That's not fighting in a war. Um, yeah, Tom and Soledad stayed married their whole lives, and now he's dead.
Isn't she the one who said, "Oh, I love my
I
husband"?
love my husband.
Oh, she
She,
must be so. My heart goes out to her.
um, you know, I'm not sure how much. I think she appreciated, in some sense, the situation, which empowered her to live in the United States, have them raise kids in the U.S., et cetera, et cetera. And but she still is a big drunk, Soledad. Like she said that she always would say that because she'd always be so full of tequila. Oh, a little more tequila. Oh, oh, I love my husband. Oh. That's racist against the word racist, Fly Guy. Okay? It's not okay to be a racist like that.
There's this off-Broadway play called Avenue Q, and they have a song in it called "Everyone's a Little Bit Racist."
I don't like that song. I don't think I'm a little bit racist. If you're not articulating some thoughts or behaviors that you're referring to, then there's no reason to call anybody racist at all.
It's true.
I'm not going around thinking, darn those muggity meows.
I mean, I would be lying if I said that I never said anything racist before. Like, I'm embarrassed about some of the things that I've said about like Japanese culture.
I never heard you say anything particularly racist about it. You
I
seem
just think it's.
you don't seem to like it very much. But
I don't think I'm scared of it because I think I would fail utterly in that. Like I feel like maybe in my past life I was a Japanese INFJ and had like a real hard time living there. Cause I feel like I wouldn't do well, and my FE would be so burnt out. Like I don't know, whatever. Like
I don't think that's racist against Japanese culture. I think you can't be racist against cultural phenomena. What you don't like is how there's so much intense pressure to conform.
yeah, like I waiting on a bus line. Like I said, like my sister loved that everyone was like right behind each other. But I can see a world in which I would like to be standing next to you, and that would be a big no no. And that's tough for me to like me as an American going to Japan. Although I still would want to like I don't. I know I'm a tourist. I just have to be okay with me being a tourist.
I didn't know we were going to Japan. I was thinking the other day that if we do go overseas at some point, we should probably go to Norway.
Yeah, we should.
Or go visit Susie and Abe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad to know that I'm still the only person who calls her Susie. Everybody else calls her Susan or Suzanne, what her name is. But sometimes a lot of people call her Susan anyway. Her name's Suzanne. They call her Suzanne, but not Susie. Because she's a pretty serious lady, right? So, of course, I wanted to call her Susie.
It was funny when Abraham was like, "Yeah, I got a little drunk and at karaoke. I got up to the mic and I said,
Oh, yeah.
what, give it up to all."
This goes out to all the single mothers out there.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh my god, that's so wholesome." And Susie was like, "Nah, it was very frat boy." And I was like, "Oh, I see."
I mean, he was like, "Hey there, single mothers," like that.
No, I thought it was wholesome. Like I thought it was like, "Oh my gosh, that's so ESFJ." Like
I
saying,
think that's
like,
exactly what he meant.
yeah.
I don't think Susie interpreted it correctly.
No, she didn't. She took it as like he's being a frat boy.
Well, that's fourth slot FE for you.
So she didn't appreciate it. So I mean, you know, now he knows. Maybe accidents happen.
Yeah, I'm sure he meant it in the most earnest, literal way. Knowing that guy for a long time, that's textbook Abraham. This goes out to all of the women out there because if you're being oppressed because you're women, that's not okay.
Thank you, Capillo. I love you too.
I don't have a problem with Japanese people, with the Japanese groping people on trains, so long as those people are in the grope me line. So if there's a line for gropers and a line for people who want to be groped, then fine. And in that instance, I would no doubt greatly appreciate the orderliness of those lines because you don't want to end up in the wrong line. I want to be in the non-groping line. I don't want to end up accidentally in either the groper or the gropee line. So in that instance, you have to say the Japanese are doing a great job of keeping people in their correct line. All the single mothers, where do they all come from? Why do we have to look at them all the time? It's just like the Beatles said. All the lonely people, where do they come from? And why do we have to look at them all the time? This was the actual end of a speech that this girl did in high school when I was back in high school where we had speech events that were like, on stupid topics like people would do a speech on loneliness. What is loneliness and what can we do about it? Or whatever. I did my dumbass speech on censorship. Why censorship is bad. So, mine wasn't nearly as silly as this girl's speech on loneliness. It's just like the Beatles said. All the lonely people. Where do they come from? And why do we have to look at them all the time? I remember even as a high school kid, I was just like, that's not what the song says, and also, how are, didn't really think like about people back then in terms of like, they're dumb or something. I just thought, I wonder what made her make that decision. Like, I didn't get that she was just dumb,
Like who?
This girl in high school who did that speech on loneliness. I don't remember what her name was or anything.
Oh, it's so funny. That's real.
Yeah, it's a real thing that happened in high school that I remember.
Oh my god, I thought you were
from way back when. This girl did a speech on loneliness, and she ended it with, "It's like the Beatles say, all the lonely people. Where do they come from? And why do we have to look at them all the time?"
Oh my god, you're right.
Yeah. I thought it was funny.
Oh my god, it's so funny. Oh my god. Oh my god, I hope she got an A.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's like she was, if I was hearing it in class, she was preparing that speech for competition.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
But she's probably one of those girls who wasn't into speech and debate, just did the minimum she had to do to get the grade or whatever. If you had to compete in at least one tournament, I think was the rule. I competed in all of them. I was serious about being on a team, not just in the class, Because there was like a team half of the class, and then there was a class half of the class. It was just there to take the class, even though they had to compete at least once, I think was the rule. They weren't really that serious about speech or debate. I was not very serious about anything, just like I still am not very serious about anything, But I was into going to tournaments. Like at bipolar, I still didn't really get that I liked it. I just found myself signing up for them all, and I guess because I was good at it, I wasn't that good at the canned speech events. Like my memorized speech on censorship, I don't think I ever won anything with an original oratory. And I had a hard time delivering those speeches because I'd have this weird kind of like out of body experience as I'm reciting a memorized speech. It made me feel like I was floating above my body almost. Like I could feel that speech like coming out of me as I had memorized it, and it didn't feel like any kind of communication, right? It just felt like I was saying words that for like the sound of them because I had it memorized, and it made me create this weird like meaning feedback loop in me or something because I didn't like doing memorized speeches. In contrast, for me, impromptu speaking, I'd win that tournament most of the time because I just thought, oh, how is this even a competition event? Anybody could do this so easily. Just get up and talk for a few minutes about something. Why would I need any preparation time at all for that? But of course, that's not usually, almost nobody in the event experienced it like I experienced it. They didn't have that kind of obviously that's not even anything. How's it an event? They didn't have that response to it at all. They just thought, I gotta prep out really carefully, and then they get up there. And I would always be shocked at how terrible people were.
I hated practicing, and I'd always have to practice. memorization of anything.
Yeah. Memorization's dumb. Why would anybody make people memorize stuff?
Talk to a math professor about that. They'll be all about the practice and memorization and all those form. I guess chemistry is probably the same. The formulas. You got to know the periodic table too. That's memorization. Biology, you have to know all the things about the body.
Well, there's one way in which debate's better than speech because there's no way anybody's going to memorize their debate case because they've got all these cut cards that are full of all this complicated language and trying to go as fast as possible. So, or even if they're not trying to go, even if they're not trying to spread, they're still going faster than you're going to be able to memorize and recite. And plus, during a round, you're reading all the different cards depending on what the other people are doing and saying. So you can't have everything memorized. It's not possible. So nobody cares about that at all in debate, and nobody even tries to memorize anything. It would be silly. It's too much actual work being done. But with the drama events, kids have to memorize the dramatic interpretation, humorous interpretation, duo interp, original oratory, declamation. A lot of events require memorization.
Man.
Yeah. I could coach the humorous interpretations okay as a coach because, I did speech coaching as well as debate coaching. In fact, one of my middle schoolers won a national championship in declamation. But I really had trouble with dramatic interpret, which is supposed to be like sad plays and stuff, like a sad.
Oh my god. And
format thing.
bipolar having to do. Oh my god. How the hell did you emote?
I mean, I basically couldn't coach them. I didn't know how to do it because it's like there's this. I remember that when I was working with the high schoolers who do a little bit more risque material. There was this like cheerleader girl who was doing this speech called "I Stand Before You Naked," which was about like being ugly and stuff and having poor self concept. Except this girl was not even remotely the person who should have been doing this speech because she was like a pretty cheerleader girl, and she was a okay actress, I guess. Except every time she started doing it, when I tried to coach her, and she was supposed to say something like, "And they looked at me with scorn," and I'd say like, "You should say it like this: And then the Indians gave us corn." Yeah. What was that girl's name? I don't remember what that girl's name was, but she was a little ditzy. But she was not a bad actress necessarily. She wasn't a bad actress. She wasn't a great actress, but she was trying her best. But every time I try to coach her, I just end up wanting to make fun of the material. Just like with something like Night Mother, which is this incredibly depressing play about this adult child who offs herself and informs her mother beforehand and tells her what to do, but after it's over and stuff. It's a really depressing thing. It used to be common when I was in high school that people would do that play, and they still do it.
That's like the movie Ordinary People.
Is that what happens there?
Well, like, yeah, like not exactly the same, but like it's like a dark, like, well, also, what's the dark Shakespeare movie, play? Hamlet, or is it
Hamlet's dark.
Yeah, I think it was Hamlet.
Macbeth is also dark.
Macbeth. I think it was
Macbeth, the Lady Macbeth kills somebody, and she has this scene where she's trying to wash imaginary blood off of her hands. It's probably the most famous scene in Macbeth.
Hmm.
Whereas Hamlet, he is betrayed by Iago, who's his like helper guy or whatever, something like that. I don't remember the exact story of Hamlet. I know he
Um.
was the king of Denmark.
Oh, I didn't know that. I don't think it was. It must have been Macbeth. Now I'm thinking like I thought ordinary people was definitely more would affect people more than Macbeth. Um, because it's just so sad.
The one that they read a lot in school still to this day is Romeo and Juliet. Is that what it's called? Something like that. It's about these two young teenagers who are kept apart by their parents and end up both killing themselves. Why would you have high school students read that?
That's terrible,
All right.
and it's impossible to read. So like, I was in eighth or ninth grade when we read Romeo and Juliet, and the teacher had the great idea because she loved this play so much to have all the students in the class take turns reading the fucking play. And I was like, thou art.
Be speech.
Yeah.
Be speech. Schmatter.
And she'd be like, all right, what just happened in that paragraph? I'd be like, I really have no idea. This language is so old to me. And there's nothing wrong with old language. It was just.
No, there is. It gets stale. Sometimes it gets moldy. You gotta throw it out. Best used by. Is Shakespeare is well past that date.
It's very different. I mean, I think um, that's Scottish. Um,
I mean, look.
Beowulf is harder to read.
Well, sure. The thing is, writing doesn't age as well as music, which is the only thing that really ages with no ceiling, right? You know, Mozart's gonna still be fantastic 10,000 years from now. It's not gonna make any difference. But writing is a more. Writing is not the art of time like music is. Writing is the art of agency, and agency evolves as humans as agents have evolved immensely. As a species, we're still the same as we always were, as obviously is indicated by the fact that the ancient Greeks were talking about the same shit I'm talking about today, in some sense, you know?
Yeah.
But let's, but the fact is that people nowadays maybe still talking about the same thing, but we're vastly more empowered because society as a whole, in other words, humanity has evolved with better capacity to communicate, you know, near universal literacy, etc. So, um, so even if we're talking about the same things, it's not just, well, it still is just a tiny fraction of us, um, but nobody cares anymore, which is the important thing. Back in the day, you know, it's like you could have a culture like ancient Greece, and the most famous thing that would come out of it would be philosophy. Nowadays, philosophers don't have enough control of the publishing house, I think. You know, obviously in ancient Greece, philosophers had a lot more power to control what history deemed the important stuff than they do now, because we remember the ancient Greeks for their philosophy, and we don't remember anybody else for philosophy.
No, they claim to have like started like many things, many intellectual things. Um, and I believe it. Also, who what was up with the Sierra Tell?
Oh yeah, I went down to the shed because when you said the other day, you think something got in there, it made me start thinking. I wonder. I want to make sure it's not like a possum or something
That's
that's
yeah,
living in there.
yeah.
So I was down in the shed and I was like looking through stuff, like whenever I go down there. So because this great cabinet with all these drawers that pull out with all these different things in them. So anyway, I played around down there. When I came back up, I came around the back of the house, turned the corner here, and so then I was just like lost in my head thinking about whatever. And he said, "Good morning," and I was like, "Ah!" I was so startled. He startled the fuck out
Oh
of me.
man.
And he's like, "Sorry, I tried knocking on the door." And I was like, "Oh, it's down in the shed." Anyway, they did the next step, which is they put the fiber optics box next to the other box, and that he said will cut the install time in half. In other words, they're getting a head start on our install.
Cool.
But they say they're working their way out here, and they'll let us know as soon as. But the next step in fiber optics, we now have a fiber box outside. So good for us.
I was like so confused what was going on. Like I heard the knocks. I heard knocks and then I was like then I heard knocks again and I was like, "Oh shit, it's the door." And like I was in my pajamas, so like I didn't want
You
anyone
just
to see
ignored it.
me.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, so I was calling your name, but I couldn't find you. And I was like,
I went down to the shed. I picked a bad time to go to the shed, obviously. I was just like, I was out, I was walking around out back smoking a cigarette, sitting in a chair in the back patio, and I saw that door cracked open down there, and I said, you know what, maybe I should go down there and check, see if there's a possum in there or something.
yeah,
There wasn't anything in there.
good.
Um, and despite walking down the road instead of the hill, I still managed to get stickers in my sweatpants.
Oh man.
Whatever plant puts those stickers out, it's aggressive and getting them stuck into your clothes or your cat's fur or everything else.
Oh man.
I'm gonna smoke this cigarette and then let's go inside where I can read the chats better. All the lonely boners, where do they all come from? Hmm, mostly from probably male penises. Mr. Bobby's a woman after all. Mr. Bobby, have I ever told you you'll always be a woman to me? Ruby R is the actual name. Ruby R, is that Ruben's inner transvestite? You don't hear the word transvestite a lot anymore.
No. Um, I have a TikTok to show you that Lou sent to me, and she wants to know, like she like is sensing something's off about the video. It's about an INTJ, INTP, and she can't quite get down like.
I'm sure neither INTJ nor INTP is anything to do with that video. Probably. Is it supposedly by an INTJ or INTP or something?
Yeah.
I'll go watch it and see what it says.
Or maybe not. It might just be people who are like making a meme, but with TikTok. Like this is an example of an INTJ. This is an example of an INTP.
This is an example of the oldest flexor in the world, bitches. My lighter's worth more than your whole house. I had this lighter custom made by, what's that watch company? Rolex.
Whoa.
It costs more than your whole life. You think I'd be successful as the successor to Lil Tay? I just really am enamored with the term flexor.
Flexor.
I'm the youngest flexor of the century, was her actual words. Not of all time. I previously misquoted hers. I'm the youngest flexor of the century.
I'm the youngest flexor.
Flexor.
I'm the youngest flexor of the century.
Yeah, I'm not interested in Mackenzie in some other wrong, incorrect interpretation of personality or whatever. If you have a reason to prefer it, then just state that reason. Otherwise, it's not yet another person's failed attempt to avoid correcting Jungian cognitive functions in its simplest and purest form. Is not informative at all to me. It's like, is there a reason for me to prefer it over actual Jungian cognitive functions rendered correctly? Probably not. Almost certainly no. So, I mean, I'm so deep into the casework on this that I don't have any concerns about anything displacing it in terms of correctness, because I understand what's required of something to even want to step up and say, hey, here's a better understanding of things, and nobody's anywhere close to that. It's like they don't know where they're beginning, they don't know where they're going, they don't know how to get there. So
They don't even really care, so.
Right, it's just some sort of creative activity. Not, they don't care about whether what they're saying is defensible at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure they've got some stock kind of TE workarounds anytime anybody calls them out or asks them to explain themselves adequately or something. They give some bullshit non-explanation. You know, I've seen enough of these kind of nonsenses to know how it goes. No, I haven't, Mackenzie. It's probably said, if you want to convince me it's worth looking into, here's the criterion to meet. You state clearly to me what good new idea that either informs or displaces an existing thing, and maybe I'll be convinced to look into it. But if you can't state one such, then you shouldn't be interested in it either yet. You know, it's like, don't go digging for a treasure that's already been found. I get it, you got instrumental NI, so you think you're going to just use truths for your own purpose and stuff, but this isn't one of those kind of truths. This is what people don't get. They read something and they intuit things about it.
Like,
this is worthwhile. Okay, well, explain to me one specific thing that makes it worthwhile, right? If you can't do that, your intuition should not be trusted. You shouldn't trust your intuition about it, because, you know, if you had good intuition about the landscape of things in general, you'd realize that you don't continue hunting for something after it's been found. Okay, well, if you anticipated it, then you've got a good thing to say about it, right? You've got a good argument to make. It's made by that system that will be either informative about an existing idea enough that I say, okay, that is informative, I hadn't thought about that before, or that it displaces an existing idea with something preferable. If you can produce one of those things, if you did anticipate it, then you're ready to produce one of those things.
Yeah.
If you're not ready to produce one of those things, then there's no reason for me to look into it, because I've got a million people telling me, Look, I can't explain it, but if you just watch this video by this guy, you'll be convinced too. Now, if you can't explain it, then you shouldn't be convinced, right? Well, it's just that, I've got a million potential people suggesting I watch or hear somebody else make arguments they can't make. That's not the business I'm in, right? If you can't make the arguments, then I have no reason to trust your insight about these sort of things, because you shouldn't be so convinced by something that you can't explain. How do the functions work together? I mean, they work together as in the way I articulate. A person attends via their dominant function as a default, is how they are, and their tool function as a tool function, it's how they be themselves. And the other functions are just the implied relationship with alternative means of attention implied by the first and second function. That's how they work together. Or does Axis 12 tell us something like, by coupling with the metaphor, there's an attainment of synthesis, or some other not words that don't mean anything? Is that what it does? Yeah, it's not that I'm avoidant of looking into other ideas that show potential. It's just that I'm avoidant of looking into ideas that somebody says show potential or are of interest, but that cannot articulate why. So yeah, I'm immediately dismissive of other things that claim to inform us about hieroglyphics, because I've already found the Rosetta Stone and have begun doing the translations. We don't need another thing that might be informative about hieroglyphics. We have the Rosetta Stone. It explains them in full, right? As fully as they can be explained currently, Any further understanding or explication requires an adoption of and adherence to the existing frame that I'm articulating, and then doing experimental work accordingly, tested hypotheses and stuff like that. We're not at the spot anymore where we should be still coming up with hypotheses to test. Those things don't provide any such kind of mechanism anyway, because they're all thought up by idiots. So don't try to frame this as Eric dismisses things without even looking into it. Of course I do. Of course I dismiss things without looking into them, because I have the right approach towards things. I'm not looking for answers to questions I've already answered. And number two, I have enough experience encountering various, Dave Superpowersy kind of, it is my own personal idea, blah, blah, blah. Well, before you're going to ever even advocate such a thing, first explain where the deficits of defensible typology are and how you're addressing those. If you're not under that frame of reference, you're just fucking masturbating into a cup. Okay, well, I don't think I said you were trying to convince me. I said, it's not correct to critique my dismissal of this on the grounds that I haven't looked into it at all, for the reasons I've articulated. Because I don't have to experience every single horribly wrong idea in order to affirm the correct one. Masturbating in your own feces. That would have been better, but I like that one better. I mean, you see something like that. No, you didn't. That's true. I was playing preemptive defense. If you want to critique me for playing preemptive defense, I get that. I may be subject to such critique. And let's just leave it at that. Okay, Mackenzie, cheers. I sell a bunch of shit and you get all upset about it. I just make wild assumptions all the time. It's fine. Do you see how well my wild assuming plays out? I totally just anticipated that comment and preempted it with my wonderful spike. Maybe I do flail around with wild assumptions all the time. That's what makes me special. It's a feature, not a bug, Mackenzie, okay? Anytime anybody does anything wrong, they should say that. Hey, it's a feature, not a bug. He just punched me in the face.
Oh my gosh, show media. I have like, I'm like not into ayahuasca, and like I'm kind of biased because, um, like a lot of spiritual people, they like say, oh, to reach a high vibration, don't smoke weed. I've stopped smoking weed. And then they go on these trips and they do ayahuasca, and I'm like that's any better? Like you hypocrite, not hypocrite, but you, you.
Yeah, Anubis mentioned something that's really actually a significant point, which is that the reason we need to embrace defensible typology is because every other form of psychological frame is weaponized. It's unavoidably weaponized. You end up getting people pathologized for things that are just function stack realities. You know.
I mean, they're scammers. They're definitely scammers, but yeah, they're definitely scammers because the people would pay, and then they would have this like spiritual experience on ayahuasca, and like all like one of them who was like one of the main people said she had it was terrible that she was like throwing up and like she like had a psychotic break and was like going nuts, and then she comes back and she's like, but I feel so cleansed, and would I do it again? Yes. I'm like, what? That sounded terrible.
No, I don't think Rachel and I have hugged today. We could hug.
We could.
Would you like to hug?
Sure.
I love you.
I love you.
I don't feel particularly hug deprived. You know, Rachel and I hug relatively often. You know, we're not mega huggers. If we were FI types, as I said before, we'd be one of those horrible couples that's always like, oh, my little Smokey, I love you so much. But fortunately, we both have FI in 6 and 7 slots, so we're not so overwhelmed by our affection for each other that it. A new study may very well solve #1 mystery of life's origins from Popular Mechanics. Popular Mechanics, I'm not that impressed with your work, okay? Black Bear becomes unlikely hiker at Yosemite's Half Dome. It looks like that was a bear. bum bum. Bum, dun, 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 bum, ding, ding, bum, ding, 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 ding. Yeah, that's what I thought. What do you mean never type people with mechanics? I mean, you can't, there's no such thing as typing people directly with your understanding of the mechanics, right? You have to do the test and explain why they link to the mechanics. Well, I mean, I have explained exactly how the results of the test prove the mechanics that I have, and how, in fact, the results could falsify some claims that I'm making. I've explained that on multiple occasions, but I can explain it again for you right now if you'd like. Um, so, what you'd be looking for to validate or falsify my claims about the mechanics of cognitive functions, which remember are not mine, they're Jung's claims. I just corrected some things that he got wrong. Okay, and really worked out the sort of information flow mechanics of it. I have explained those as well, but the the oh right. So as far as validating the tests, in other words, if you see somebody who's say SI polar, if you want to falsify it, you'll find somebody who also has another, you test polar for another thing at the same time. Because according to the model, there's no possible way of two polars, right? Instead, what we see consistently is correlations that I believe, although I haven't done this work, that I believe if you were to assemble the data accordingly, there's a lot of data management work that needs to be done, as I've indicated also before, but that would show that, for example, somebody who's FI polar uh, will always have other things validating as an action type, for example, or um, will test for FI polar will also test for TI12 slot every time, things like that, right? Now, the thing is, Mackenzie, I am not claiming that you should be convinced by any particular presentation of mine, of ideas, etc. But if you wanted to deep dive, like all the videos on cognitive functions that I've made in the last like 2 or 3 years, those are all safely within the framework, within the time frame where I understood things well. Then there's a lot there to cover. It's not like I've not addressed these things plenty of times. I certainly am addressing them much more successfully and much more responsibly than anybody else is. You're not going to get other people to answer this question nearly as well as I'm answering it right now, or any other question nearly as willingly and correctly as I'm able to do that. Well, I mean, that's the thing. That's why I'm saying only look at videos and shit over the last few years. I've been at this for the better part of 10 years, right? Um, and the answer is very slow, laborious trial and error, and with intuition guiding me. And basically, a basic negationary principle that says excise shit that it isn't making the necessary distinctions for it to even apply to this job. So a combination of years and years and years of typing people, plus refinement of Jungian cognitive functions into its most correct like explanation, right? And then having those things, those processes of explaining and testing going on and on and on. Well, eventually it got refined to where I know what stuff is correlates really strongly, what stuff doesn't correlate quite so strongly, etc. Now I don't have all that stuff laid out in a document that would enable other people to type people with the same exact level of understanding of the process as I have developed over time. But presumably it's possible. I mean, the thing is, I'm only going to do the work I'm going to do. That's the point. And and you have plenty of reason for skepticism still, because I haven't done all the work that there is to be done, just the work that I've done and I'm going to do, and that's not all the work that there is to be done, right? But if you want to be skeptical of what I'm saying, you should be 10 times more skeptical or 100 times more skeptical of what everybody else is saying. Apply the same metric of skepticism to me as to everybody else, and the only conclusion a correct person will draw is that this guy is vastly more reliable in what he's saying and his understanding of cognitive functions than anybody else. And I know this because he can answer all of my questions and does so honestly and correctly. So I mean that's really the most important thing to ask yourself, Mackenzie, is if if you're going to question the defensibility of defensible typology, ask yourself, is anyone else doing even as fraction a good a job as Eric is doing? And the answer is no. By I mean the thing is I have I can only attain data that's consistent with it being externally consistent or inconsistent with it being externally consistent. I can't attain data that's determinant on those questions. Most of the data I've obtained is consistent. Almost all of it is consistent with the basic mechanical, the basic mechanics of unity and cognitive functions, right? So, in other words, if you see somebody um, who tests as let's say an SI knower in the 1 or 2, then you can be assured that there's no possible way they're going to test TI 1, 2. If you see an example of an ISFJ who tests TI or 1, 2, or in other words, if you get an example when you're typing somebody and you've determined first that they're SI 1, 2 for sure, and then you check to see if where their TI is, and you time after time after time after time after time, if you go in that order, you find it validates. Well, it becomes convincing to you, right? So it's convincing to me, but I haven't assembled the data to present a data-driven case that should necessarily convince you. But what you should be convinced of is that I'm vastly more convincing than anybody else. Like I said, Anubis, um, what you should do is be skeptical as you want, but then completely dismiss everything else because apply the same standards to all parties, right? Because I don't have the answers to all the questions, but I have the answers to most of them that are reasonable questions to ask. And my answer to, if you ask the same question of all the various parties, my answer will be preferable. So at least you'll get an answer here. You won't get an answer other places. If you come to a live stream and ask questions about shit, you'll get answers from me. So that's a lot better than what other people are offering, which is no answers, or well, sure, Anubis. Um, I'm not asking you to agree with me because of the experience that I state. Like it's not the case that just because somebody's experienced, you should afford them any kind of. What's the problem? Did he kick the video out?
No, I don't want him to. His son meant to get on there and then she not.
Well, he's off of it now. Um,
Sorry.
that's fine. No, I've never done that, Joe Smith. The thing is, other people don't want to collaborate with me because by and large they're intimidated, and I don't want to collaborate with them because it's like I can't begin collaborating until we agree on certain terms and understandings of things, right? We can't even communicate adequately about the thing if we mean different things by certain terms, right? If we don't mean something specific. The problem I have with most people's approach to typology is they don't mean something specific when they give you answers about stuff. They just have vagaries and non-operationalized definitions and such. That's not, you can't get any intellectual work done unless you do it in the right way. Well, that's true. That's a fair critique of me, Mackenzie. I'm trying to get better at it, you know? You say, but you don't always engage with people in a way that can further understanding. I would like to do a better job of that. It's a question I've been thinking about a lot, you know? Like, how can I communicate what I believe to be the case here in ways that allow people to benefit from understandings that ensue from this, you know?
T Jump is a hack.
Yeah, I mean, I lost it on TJM's show because expectations and realities were so far apart, right? And people react. This is part of what defensible typology tells us is that there's a prime directive. People want expectations and realities to be as closely aligned as possible, and they'll people will do just about anything to get them to properly realign. You could express any kind of dysfunction really as like BPD or whatever as being a state in which there's a continual unsolvable gap between expectations and realities in anytime they're in a relationship because the expectation is that the person will betray them, the person who they love the most, need the most, will betray them, but they're trying to be in a relationship. So they're in the state of constant conflict over their prime directive that drives them to fix the gap between expectations and realities by making the other person betray them. So that's how important the prime directive is to everybody, right? And so because what I'd been told by this guy going in was that he had talked about running for president, that he was a smart guy, that he was maybe an ENTP, etc. And what I encountered when I started talking to him was somebody who right off the bat was like seemed hostile and or whatever.
He wasn't listening at all, Anubis. You're right.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't my best moment. That's sure for sure. It wasn't my best moment in terms of how it looked, how it played. Um, I don't blame myself because, like, how can anybody make any sort of? I mean, I was outraged by the notion that this idiot would even dream of considering himself to be qualified to run for president when his response to a plan of that would actually solve a national problem of significance was we shouldn't do it because it's not been tried before. Even though the problem is the status quo solutions have been tried over and over and over and over and over again and don't work.
Oh, Keisha, I said hack. I think he's you like you can't take his word. Take his word at face value.
Well, I think you're probably overestimating the FE considerations here, Boba Fett, because obviously giving me rope isn't going to do him any good. He's not he's not going to be able to do anything with the rope I give him if he's being honest, except make a basket that says Eric for president. Um, yeah, I did used to collaborate with Stacy a lot, but my life's changed, and she's not in the location around here with me, and I'm not interested in collaborating with him. And I mean, it's like, what? I mean, he ended the conversation so quickly, right? Or did I end it?
No, he
He ended
muted
it,
you.
and then he hung up, right, or something.
No, he like sat there like this, like waiting for you to stop. He's like, this guy's gonna keep on going.
So then, did I hang up?
And you didn't know you were muted, so you kept on talking.
So how did it end, though? Is what
I don't know.
Okay. So I think he hung up on me, or ended the thing arbitrarily. I got up to get a cigarette, and then maybe miscommunication, and he ended it. I mean, if he's not listening to me at all, if he's not hearing anything I'm saying, including things like I'm going to smoke a cigarette now, then it's not miscommunication. It's a willful refusal to hear me. I must have been unmuted at that point then. I don't know. I'm not interested in collaborations, although I'm open to them, right? Other people don't want to collaborate with me because on some level we both understand that no collaboration, no real collaboration is possible. Just YouTube show collaboration, right? Like, collaboration theater is not of interest to me. And no real collaboration is possible unless we're talking, we mean the same things when we use certain terms. If we're not meaning the same things, then this presumed collaboration will necessarily devolve into me trying to instruct them on what's wrong with their interpretation of things. No, I didn't study him at all. I mean, I assumed Winston's mom, when she told me about him, was, you know,
No.
I didn't expect to be sent into uh, sent into enemy ground with live fire ammunition. That's not how it was positioned to me. I wasn't interested in watching him because who gives a fuck? As far as I was told, I was going to be interviewed about my experience as a debate coach. But he didn't want to interview me about that at all. So obviously, I went in with a lot of misconceptions and was surprised by that fact. Why should I have to research him to expect him to be a decent human being, honest and able to engage, honestly? You know, it's a reasonable expectation to have for everybody. And just like, I don't got time to be watching some fucking idiots, whatever. I got anime to watch. I got good things to watch. I didn't know at the time he was an idiot, but you assume somebody is, you guess right 99% of the time. You know, it's just life in the fast lane, as they say.
Like, he only lost Boba Fett because he lost his temper and like he jumped.
It wasn't supposed to be a competition of any sort, right? It wasn't a debate about anything, that's for sure.
I'm not saying that, like.
I know he's saying like people lose games. So I may have lost from your perceptions, right? You may think that I sort of lost face in that or whatever, and that's fine. But remember, it wasn't a debate. It wasn't a competition. He was supposed to be interviewing me about my debate coaching experience. If you think that the average viewer is going to be more impressed with him than me, fine. I don't give a fuck. You know, it's like I've made plenty of FE mistakes in my life. I made FE mistakes there. I have already tried to learn from those things. So I'm not sure what your point in hammering it is. But
Yeah,
regardless,
who's
regardless,
stopping
you're being
what?
distracted by things that don't matter, right? The substance of what was discussed, what everybody should take away from that is, if they heard it, is wow, Eric really understands homelessness well. This guy was trying to argue against my plan. He didn't even know that existing homeless policy existed under that SCOTUS decision. Like, those are the takeaways from that, right? That's the takeaways. He's got, it's not a homeless experiment. It's what I'm saying is, I understand why homelessness is a problem in America in the status quo as it manifests, and how it links back to a specific Supreme Court decision that ties the hands of municipalities while concurrently putting on them an unfunded mandate to solve the problem themselves. So obviously, if you don't even understand that existing homeless policy is the way it is because of the Supreme Court decision and the mechanics of that, the fact that it removes from municipalities the ability to remove people from public space unless those municipalities, quote unquote, have somewhere for the homeless people to go, which is essentially an unfunded mandate on municipalities, large municipalities especially cities on the West Coast where there's nice weather, um, to uh, to create free housing for homeless people, which merely incentivizes more homeless people to go to those localities because those localities have more services. I've explained how the mechanical situation in the status quo with the Supreme Court decision on the books and multiple municipalities attempting to behave accordingly, we see the clusterfuck of disaster this policy has created, right? So since the federal government has taken ownership of the fucking problem with the Supreme Court decision, then let the federal government be the one that solves the problem by centralizing all homeless services and federalizing that. And I am not a big government person at all, right? But if the Supreme Court's going to be issuing unfunded fucking mandates to the municipalities to destroy the entire West Coast, then obviously you have a binary choice here. Should the feds handle it since they've dictated all the terms by which it must be handled? Or should we continue doing the same stupid fucking thing over and over again and continue to watch it fail? Those are the fucking binaries here. If you're opposed to what I'm saying, you're not a good American. You're not hearing me and understanding that, oh shit, I don't know enough to even talk about this fucking topic. Right? I mean, the problem's more important than who looks better in that particular exchange. That's what it was so appalling in part, right? Here I am presenting the first meaningful words you've heard ever about this topic, the most important words anybody's saying about this topic, the only person who's interpreting it correctly and understanding the mechanics and dynamics of the current policy, the Supreme Court decision, and the implications of this unfunded federal mandate. The only person articulating all that stuff correctly that I've ever heard. Now, granted, I don't go around listening for people like me, but in any public discourse, I'm the only one I've ever heard mention it at all. Any articles about it at all, right? Unless you look in scholarly journals, you might read articles about that Supreme Court decision. But the point is, so Boba Fett, obviously T-Jump didn't feel like he won. If he took the video down.
Like, I'm just like confused because are you playing devil's advocate? Like, I'm just stunned that like
Boba Fett's just hitting me in the third slot FB. Why is he doing that? I don't know. But I'm defending myself in this instance.
I'm just so like shocked that T-Jump came across as like a worthy opponent, or not even opponent. Like, he was supposed to be an interviewer.
Right.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird. Whatever.
I mean, it might be Mr. Bobby. It's hard to say, It may have nothing to do with me at all. He may have learned more from that experience than I thought. In other words, he may
Could
have
be.
reflected on it and realized, oh shit, I thought I was kind of a badass, but this guy's way out of my league. Possible.
I think T Jump saw it and yeah, he ran with it. He was like, like you said, he gives people rope, but as like, I don't know, it was like Eric was kind of catfished. Like, he was told one thing, he goes in there and a totally different thing happens. And if he's known for like switching on people.
Well, I mean, you can't really blame him because he was not the one who informed me about him in that fashion, right? But the thing is, I think he's accustomed to having debates for the purpose of making YouTube content, right? Whereas if I'm going to debate something, it's because it's a serious thing that needs to be talked about, right? And he's not accustomed to somebody coming in with, you know,
That's not good. Then teach them. It never should have happened. Honestly, it shouldn't have happened. But mistakes happen. Like
I mean, who knows what to make of it, right? The point is, I'm not going to uh, feel like I'm not going to do anything except attempt to learn a lesson regarding the FE dynamics of it. I don't want to come across as super mad and like in a state of outraged disbelief, which is what I was. Uh, I will attempt to. I mean, normally I do a better job of pre-work before I start something, in the sense that I'll talk to myself about how I want to behave or what I want to do about FE things before I go into starting something like that. But it, I, in that instance, I had insufficient, whatever, contextually, I may have just not been interested in, or I may have just like gotten up at a certain time and then talked to him right then, or who knows what happened right before
I
then.
don't know what it
But,
happened.
but the thing is, I don't think I did a lot of that pre-talk that I would normally do with myself. But I think that's because I was anticipating something other than what we ended up getting. Regardless, I don't like that guy at all. Here's what's wrong with America. People more interested in winning or losing than in what's good for America. I should argue about evolution with me. We could have a debate about that. We could each have our times, you know, time to open, time to rebut. I'm affirming if he wants. Of course, he would never do anything like that. That would be allow the other party too much capacity to obviously win. Right? No, that's right on the money, Joe Smith. I do very well when both parties have when it's structured, like you get 3 minutes to do your opening and you get 3 minutes to do your rebuttal, then you get to ask questions. The other person has to answer questions, then switch. A couple minutes of that, each person, 3 minutes maybe each, you know. Then second speech each, maybe another question and answer period, and then final speech each. They're getting like 20 or 30 minutes of speech time. It reminds me of a bad blind date I had this one time uh, with this ENFP librarian lady from UCLA. Oh, that was the worst date ever. It wasn't a blind date. Uh, it was from a dating site. I asked her out. She said yes. We met at this place. It's like boutique restaurant. You know, we sat down. We were arguing before the waiter got there to ask what drinks we wanted. We should have just left right then. I don't know why we even bothered to stay. We
I,
thought we'd give it a chance, I guess, but
I guess that's why, like, my dad, that's like another case for my dad being an INFP because, like, it's not like that.
I mean, the thing is, at the time, I had a business. Okay, I'll answer your question, Mr. Bobby, namely the autonomy debate, and it was paying for this fancy meal that we were about to have. Right? She comes right out the gate talking shit about capitalism as she's eating at this fancy boutique restaurant with me, on my dime, in the most enjoying all the fruits of capitalism in all of its glory, and comes out the gate talking smack about capitalism. And I listened to some stretch of it, and at that point, I just had to say, like, "What do you think this place is?"
Did you?
I said something like that.
What
What
she say?
What do you think's gonna be paying for the dinner? She said that's different. This isn't like a corporation. This is just a small thing.
I
Okay.
I went on a bit. Remember in the beginning of our relationship where I was like, corporations are bad.
They're platypus is what they are.
Corporations are a platypus.
The government's a platypus. Your parents are a platypus. Your teachers are a platypus. Everything's a platypus. A platypus controlling us. There's a platypus controlling us. Maybe she meant her name is Bi, short for Biana.
Biana.
Or maybe she meant she's bispecial. She's not just human, she's also a swan.
Wow.
And they're not even anti-corporation, right? Because I'm sure that small business we were eating at was a corporation.
Yeah, probably.
And Autonomy Debate was a corporation, even though, and a guy making money from his private corporation was buying her dinner at a boutique restaurant, which was probably another corporation. And she was a librarian who worked for UCLA. In other words,
Oh my
just
god.
sucking off the government's teeth.
Yes, she was. What? Oh my god.
And
Wow.
she has the fucking audacity to critique the people who do actual work and make actual money for doing so. A real piece of work, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
So anyway, we did end up eating dinner quickly and largely in silence, with occasional gas back and forth, and then I had to pay for it, and we bailed straight to our separate cars. That was my worst date ever. But I didn't do a lot of dating. At some point, you start saying to yourself, dating, schmating.
Mm-hmm.
I be hating this dating, schmating. I don't like it at all. If you've been waiting for me to be dating, well, give it up, y'all. Foul speech. Is that speech about birds? I don't think you can accuse me of talking that much about birds. Oh wait, that's the that'd be a W. My mistake. If you haven't seen it, go ahead and go watch the highlight right now of Sam Kerr's amazing goal and Australia's 1-3 loss at the feet of the women of Britain. To the feet, lost at the feet. Yeah, maybe you say lost at the hands.
But I think in this case you can go with lost at the feet.
Yeah, I think we can go with it. I don't think the language police are going to arrest me for that one. Would you like to sing a song with me?
Sure.
You'd like to sing Cloudy Day in Los Angeles?
Sure.
And this table is so big. How big is it? It's so big that the whole tripod can stand on top of it. Wait. I just put this over here. Then move right here so my fist heart can be seen, but not me. Okay, that's good.
It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles. And today we hope for more time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. Day is nearly done. Can someone buy us some more time?
Cloudy day in Los Angeles. Cloudy day in LA. I'm a sort of evangelist, but I have something to say. Life can strangely be forgiving to those who stay awake all night. And mostly voices say to give in. They'll try to sap your will to fight. But whether I'm supposed to be here or just be soon forgotten, noise is sort of based on what I see here and also on what I avoid.
It's a very cloudy day in Los Angeles. And today We hope for more time. Struggles past, troubles still to come. The day is nearly done. Can someone buy us some more time?
Cloudy day in Los Angeles. Cloudy day in LA. I'm no sort of evangelist, but I have something to say. Something to say. Very good job, Rachel.
Thanks. Very good job,
Because
Eric.
Joe is listening to the beautiful song, Mr. Bobby. That's why. Okay? Maybe you should start listening to the beautiful song more and questioning Joe less. And that's the day that Bobby learned. I should do that, he said. I know you don't normally, but you are always, of course, if you feel like singing along with this song, welcome to. Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a lot. Gerald has a plot to get the margarine tater tots. He's got a good idea for a name-changing business. Thinking now about what to call Christmas when they hire his firm to change that name. Gerald always thought there'd be chance enough to return to the work I left rough. He'd get back to it eventually, but his vision piled up, and his plans would interrupt all the work that started off so hopefully. But now his mind is back on his business, changing fact list to list. So how all the people would shout his name. And Gerald knows he understands ever more clearly now. He won't provide explanation regarding the why or the how. He'll see you and know you from inside your heart. Exciting, delighting, Gerald plays his part. But Gerald still knew there's too much to do, and he drops down in the underview. Too much to rebut, so when, how, and what? Too much time spent nitpicking the skew with you. So Gerald has a thought. Gerald has a lot. Gerald has a plot to get the margarine's tasty spots. He's got a good idea for an name-changing business. Thinking now about what to call Christmas when they hire his firm to change that name. Gerald has a thought. Mr. Bobby, I want you to qualify with your ears.
That's so good. You're rocking.
Thanks, darling.
You're welcome.
Mr. Bobby, will you stop trying to provoke everybody all the time? It's not necessary. All right, here you go. Boba Fett. Thank you for your enthusiasm. I appreciate it. When I was younger, it seemed that everything gleamed. I don't know what happened to me, but I've lost that sense of urgency, and I don't think that I'll ever see it again. If you follow my lead, you'll discover I'm loster than you. And you'll wanna know the way to get back out to wherever it was you thought you knew. And tomorrow will be just like today. I'll be lost then too. It's a matter of mood as much as a matter of will. And the things I do and the direction I point to still seem a part of me, though departedly. And I wonder if I'll ever see them again. Bumpity dee da da bumpity ba da da do. Bumpity da 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 bumpity da ba ba ba. Because you want to resolve every question beyond the extent to which it needs to be resolved or anybody wants to resolve it, right? It's like if somebody doesn't want to, like, I don't know, just, just does everything have to be a fight all the time? I prefer it not have to be that. Like, well, I prefer looking at Rachel. That's totally understandable. That's my Rachel.
Yes.
Anubis, I'm pretty sure Joe's not really being a baby.
I haven't heard that term in a while. Don't be a baby.
I know, I kind of like it all the time. It's kind of like the you stink of dumpies.
I like suck my butt.
That's a good one. But I like the expression, it's the you stink of don't bees.
The what?
It's the you stink of don't bees.
You say that you stink of don't bees?
Yeah, don't be a baby. It's like the, yo stink!
Yeah, it is.
Don't be a bugger!
Yeah,
I
it
think
is.
they're gonna cop that, actually. I think that's one of Tiffany's new expressions.
Yeah.
El Nino, my ass. You call those storms? Where is the rain? Those drizzles don't count, I drizzle more when I pee in the sink, which is just the right height to catch all of the undesired splatter. And when I'm done, I'll go outside and climb a ladder. I will go up there and take me a bucket and pour water inside. And I will, hey, Mr. Cloud, won't you take me from the bottom? Mr. Cloud, won't you drop it from the bottom? Mr. Cloud, won't you drop it from the bottom on me?
Woo!
Anubis, don't be cross, please.
Oh, yeah, don't, please.
The Bible thinks your balls smell like ass. It says so in Psalm. I don't remember the number, but it's the very last one. It's the very last Psalm. Thank God maybe missed the chord there, maybe. God, according to the Bible, sent lots of locusts on revival and showed the people what sinners they were. And then Jesus came around, washed some feet, threw some fish on the ground, made some loaves and some wine from some wheat and some water. Now everybody go ahead, be a Christian, that way you could go to heaven instead of hell, a terrible place for other people. I'm just joking. I'm not advocating that frame of Christian reference, okay? I actually don't think you're going to hell. Unless you give me a very good reason to think that's possible. I'm going to default to assuming most people are not going to hell. What percentage of the population do you think is going to hell would be an interesting question to pull people on.
Oh my god, like, what if someone pulled that out on the Pope?
If someone pulled that on the Pope?
Yeah, like, hi, yes, you, question to the Pope. Yes, Mr. Pope, what percentage of people do you think are going to hell? How do you answer that?
I don't know. That's part of a Corey song right there. It goes like, I made it. You really made it. No, is it a Velvet Underground song? I'm not sure. It's a Corey song. Yes,
he was being crass.
Never do so slow. Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good song. I haven't thought about that song in a while. It's a good one. He's got a lot of good songs.
Yeah,
He's quite a genius. You know.
Yeah, he is. He really is. I was just reflecting upon how, like, I was just reinforcing his artistic genius. I was like, this is what you should be doing. And he was like, yeah, I know.
When?
When he was here. I couldn't help it. I had to. I had to be. Like, he is a genius.
And I need you to know everything. Bass and guitar and a little bit of drums. Yeah, the reason is meow meow meow. It's 'cause you were in town. I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know how to play exactly. But it's a good song. He's got a lot of musical talent. overflowing in all of his pores. And I'm not untalented musically, but he's got a special he's got a special kick in his jalapeno.
Don't forget to call him.
Yeah, I should call him. That's true.
I mean,
I
do
probably
what
call
you
him
want.
after the stream.
I'm just reminding you. I wasn't trying to
I
say.
don't feel like you were nagging me, even though you're concerned that I do. I appreciate that you are reminding me, 'cause it is for definitely sure that I need lots of reminding all the time. Yes, I do. And that is totally fine that you reminded me about this thing. Um,
Hey, Godfrey. Trey. Godfrey.
Mr. Bobby, your intuition is very badly off. If you're convinced that Joe Smith is the troll and that Anubis is not,
Yeah.
I think you're missing by a wide mark. Joe Smith may ultimately prove to be, you know, prove to have some unveil. Who knows? But that's not what one should intuit from the current data. Troll towards you. Okay, well, that's a very personalized definition of troll, I suppose.
Mr. Bobby, are you to Enneagram at all? I don't know what he is in terms of. No, I'm asking you because I think in your tri-type you have an 8. It makes you very fighty. Um, and I wanted to know if you found that for yourself as well, or um.
Well, 11 years ago, time went slow. Nobody
It's not a
yet to
bad
show me
thing.
that had to so. Make them flow, and they will start to grow. More years ensue,
It's
and
not a
tears
bad
gnash
thing.
ensue. The whole is slabs under view. Unchangingly true, eternally new. And the soap appears in charge today. Options at large show other ways, other ways. Where's the next chord?
Mr. Bobby, I'm just asking if that's why I asked if you were interested in enneagrams, like that you studied it and you knew. Um, I wasn't trying. It's not a bad thing. Eric has 8 in his tri-type.
Yeah, I'm a little fighty too. I'm a little bit of a fighty fighter sense. I don't know how to play the guitar. I've entirely forgotten how to play the guitar now, so. Oh well. It was fun while it lasted. It was a sad, sad day. The day I learned my ability had somehow all gone away to play the guitar. It was the day that music died. The day that songs ran and hide. They ran and hid far away. It was the day I forgot how to play the guitar. But seriously though, Eric, you got bad intuition. Like I bet even Bubba would agree that I'm scapegoated a provocateur. I'm actually one of the people say. I mean, I don't need to use much intuition to evaluate you because I've got a lot of experience. The less experience you have, the more you need intuition. I have a lot of experience with you.
So I have like a sort of way of like not like learning guitar really, but um like put your go by the dots and then start up here by holding this one down and then strumming and then go down the next one and then strumming and then the next and like all the way down, but then like play with it, go like 1 2 1 2, like hold. That's how like
Yeah.
a basic. It's fun.
That's how you play the guitar. Is that your way of saying you wanted to play the guitar?
No. It just brought back memories of like playing and like just fiddling around with it.
Let's have a big fighting blame contest. You guys want? Does that sound like fun? Let's blame each other for fighting and let's fight about blaming. What do you say? Who wants to fight about blaming? Anybody besides me?
I'll jump on that train.
Let's fight about blaming. I just want to sing my song, but everybody fights about blaming. I woke up and cried because everybody fights about blaming. They were screaming, everybody was sad. They were screaming, screaming mom and dad. They were screaming, everybody fights about blaming. That sounds like an English guy singing that. It's like a post-Smith's meow song. Try to be as meow as possible. Everybody fights about blaming.
You do sound like Radiohead.
Everybody fights about blaming is a good name for a song. As is Don't Boil Me Alive. Please don't boil me alive. You might call me a rambling man, 'cause I do a lot of thumbing and a kicking games, but won't do an answer good to call me names. My daddy wasn't well, that was rough. I wasn't born and raised in no ghetto, just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I'm gonna find me a wealthy woman in a line of work. Don't take no woman, 'cause I ain't got much to lose, little lives to gain. You might call me a good time fella, but I ain't no black and I ain't no yellow, just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they giving. I'm proud of mine and got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get it, you gotta hump and get it. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. Here's where the guitar solo goes. It's a long guitar solo. Okay, you almost done? Alright, cool. Small town boy been around a little, and I like guitar and I like the fiddle, 'cause that's the kind of soul to defend my flame. Blue-eyed Billy, feared and ready, I got to work just to be somebody, just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I don't want no handout living, don't want any part of anything they giving. I'm proud and white and got a song to sing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you got to hump and get it. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you got to hump and get it. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. Well, I said a few things and I'll admit it. If you want to get ahead, you got to hump and get it. Just a white boy looking for a place to do my thing. A little bit of an extended ending that time, but a pretty good rendition of it. I didn't fuck up at any point expressly a whole lot anyway. It's not my song. That's a cover. I play it fairly often, but I don't record it because it's a cover. That's a Merle Haggard song. It is a great song, and right like in my wheelhouse of things to sing and play. But no, I don't. Yeah, okay, it is like that. Alright, here we go. Let's try this song. It's the second night when you start to feel strange and you're wondering if the range is on. It's not right, I guess. Spinning. Spinning. Yeah. I can't figure out that chord. What is it? I don't know. I even looked at the video of it the other day. It's like up here somewhere, right? I don't know what chords it is. I'm sorry, everybody, for my failure. Vivid mind figurines of Western lonely types. They lie beneath a million running suns. They're rugged and they're done with the actual night. second night, when you start to feel start to feel, and then you're wondering if the range is on, and then sparks soar in the kitchen sky, something like that. Where she stores the chai above the sleeping forms of vivid mind figurines of western lonely nights. They lie beneath a million running suns. They're rugged and they're done with the actual night. Anything interesting in the mail?
Um, no. I got a bill, but that was it. Oh, and like, stuff from your dad's name from Bank of America. But that was it.
Stick to math, buddy. When you approached me, wanting to talk about some stuff, I said, no, get in the bath, baby. Just talk about some math, baby. Stick to math. You gotta stick to math. And that song is inspired by Mr. Bobby's excellent insult we can add to Don't Be a Baby and You Stink. Stick to math.
Stuck on moth.
Yes, stick to math, Tommy. I don't know what I'm doing right now, except I know I'm wasting my time, I guess, but perhaps I'm not. It's hard to say, indeed, who could I convey a question like this one here, expecting some kind of answer. Enough guitar. Enough. 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 What am I doing? Just fucking around for no purpose. And that's why they call it the blues. Because after you're done playing it, you realize, what am I even doing? I'm just fucking around to no purpose. That's what gives you the blues.
Oh no.
Is that sense of lack of productivity. Like, why am I wasting my time doing this? I should be wasting my time doing this. You know. Obviously, I'm going to become outraged with my own failure. Okay, will you stop? It's too late. Too late. You just got a scold. SCOLD for who? For Mr. BRB. SCOLD for BOBBBY. SCOLD for who? For Mr. B for who? Mr. Sister Danger, Mr. B. SCOLD for who? Mr. B. SCOLD for me? No, for Mr. B. SCOL to the D. SCOLD to who? To Mr. Bobby. But why do you gotta push the limits all the way to the edge of the cliff? Whereas you get a cheerleading scold from me. When you're cheer scolded, that has at least twice the health risk of a regular scold.
Speaking of cheerleading, I saw this YouTube like about a person who rewatched Bring It On with Kirsten Dunst, like kind of like laughing at her like bobbin-headedness so much. Yeah.
That's okay. Don't, Diamond, don't, just let leave well enough alone. There's no point in stirring up those ashes to see if there are any remaining hot coals, okay? Let's not play ash stirring coal raiser.
I have nothing against Kirsten Dunst.
I've been on where? I've been on there too. I've been on where? I've been on the viewing panel for Bring It On. Not that I recall, but take your word for it. Okay, so it's about time. It is about time probably in this live stream. How long has it been? It's not that long of a stream. Hashtag not all bobbies.
Hashtag not all bobbies is right.
Hi. Hey. How many of you out there have in your repertoire of sayings and or beliefs a clear position on saucing? Rachel does. What's your clear position on saucing?
I like it.
You like it. Okay. It's clear, straightforward, but it doesn't really present a very controversial position on sauce. I'm going to present a more controversial one. I don't think you need sauce that much. Most of the time, they say, do you want sauce? I'll say, no. You just think, is it worth opening a sauce thing in the car?
No, it's never worth it in the car.
I mean, it might be if you like the sauce, if you want it. But...
I like ketchup, but I won't do it in the car because it gets so messy. And then, like, there's no, like, place to put your ketchup, really. But I do like ketchup.
Well, that's why we should carry a big bottle of ketchup in the car. So we just squirt it out or whatever. But it would go bad, probably. It would be a car ketchup. You'd be like, oh, no, I don't want to use the car ketchup.
Car ketchup.
Yeah.
No, usually I'm not really.
Pink may not have drawn us in, but you know it did, Rachel. Purple.
I know, that's why I'm like, why does the pink not draw me in?
Because we're more attracted to Grimace sexually than we are to Barbie.
I should have known.
If we ask Freud, that would explain it.
Yeah.
It's because we're sexually attracted to Grimace and just like pears in general and purple things.
Yeah.
Rachel and I, when we fool around, one of us is always wearing the Grimace costume. So, and the other one's always wearing the hamburger costume or potentially the early bird costume.
Mr. Bobby, that's interesting because we don't have it available to us anymore. We got it like one day. Eric saw a commercial. We went the next day and we got it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the following.
I mean, the shape did not make me grimace. It was pretty good. It was pretty good for a grape shake. It was quite good. We had the pink sauce. It was pink sauce. Well, I mean, I know. What's that restaurant called? Benihana. They've got pink sauce for their rice. That's very good.
I've never had the pink sauce from Benihana.
Is that the pink sauce you're talking about, Joe Smith? Benihana, or maybe it's not. It's something like Benihana though. They have excellent pink sauce for their rice. A pink shake.
No, pink. The pink sauce is at McDonald's, Joe Smith, and it's a Barbie pink. It's for Barbie.
I thought he was saying where else has had pink sauces, but I think you're right though. But that's what I was thinking. But anyway, so the Barbie pink sauce, what are you supposed to dip in it?
Probably chicken nuggets.
Chicken nuggets. Maybe you could dip something else in it. Maybe you could dip pancakes into it.
Maybe.
Yeah. Things that you could squeeze that would make a pink sauce would be like cherries and cream. Would probably make a pretty pink sauce. You could put maybe. What's going on out there? Nothing, I guess. Yes, Mr. Bobby, you spent all day already asking me about pink sauce. Joe Smith didn't say you asked about pink sauce. He said I mixed up what Bobby asked and what you guys were talking about. Yeah, we're talking about vaginas. Let's just admit it. Let's just stop all this euphemism. Yes, vaginas, they exist. Women have one. Well, no, women have multiple ones in the sense that they don't all share one vagina. If all the women in the world had to share just one vagina, you'd have to wait such a long time for your wife to get her turn with it.
For 3, do I put in for 360?
No, you put it in for, yes, you do. You put it in for 4 minutes.
4 minutes?
Okay. Indeed. Aren't you glad it's not the case that every woman in the world has to share one single vagina? you'd have to wait a long time. It would be all gross and disgusting by the time you got it. Your wife wouldn't even want to put it on. That wouldn't be fun. Okay, I think I'm done with the stream for now. Thank you all for being here. Sorry that the last part where I just was fucking around the guitar and then this part where I'm just meowing was so boring. Hopefully next time I'll do a better job. And and then Rachel and I'll watch little cartoons now, I think, and I might take a nap this afternoon or something. Or maybe Rachel and I will learn about the word nuptials. It's possible too. What does it mean? What does it entail? Things like that.